make it right. Yeah. No, no, that's the way you do it.
Everything we've done, you know, that nice place over there on Longer, we have
And they could never get that away from them.
be there forever.
Stop it.
But I will, even though I am,
Karen,
And at some point, you know, city ministers and building those ones and but at some point, we're gonna have to sit down as a council and discuss. This is not right. Because it's a real good thing now, but the guys 50 years ago thought all those apartments was a great thing. Yeah.
yeah, be low income crap. They'll all be like that stuff. Like your dad always, he says, my worst decision was Small World.
all right.
He said to Will.
Gentlemen, are you ready?
Yeah,
Oh, no, we're having fun.
no, we're all right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor.
At my expense? Good evening. Are you awake? Good evening.
Good evening.
The regular meeting of the Bellflower City Council, the City Council acting on behalf of the successor agency to the dissolved Bellflower Redevelopment Agency and Bellflower Financing Authority, is called to order on Monday, April 9th at 7 p.m. For open session. We are reconvening from closed session, and there are no reportable actions taken during those sessions. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Garza,
Here.
Councilmember Coops,
Here.
Councilmember Schnableger,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Santinas,
Here.
Mayor Dutton,
Is there a motion to excuse the absence of Mayor Dutton?
I'd like to make a motion to excuse Mayor Dutton.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Schnableger, seconded by Councilmember Garza. Without objection, that will be the order. The invocation tonight will be led by me. And the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by the Miss Bellflower Court. Please stand. Please bow your heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, we recognize your greatness and your presence among us tonight. We thank you for the gift of life, the gift of love, the gift of community. We thank you for all the blessings that you've bestowed upon us. We thank you for giving us a wonderful, a great city, a wonderful residents, a terrific staff, and dedicated military members of the military and first responders. As we gather here tonight, please keep those who are in need, the sick, the homeless, the hungry, the unemployed. Please give them the blessings and the comfort that they so deserve. As we discuss the items before us tonight, please enlighten us, guide us, and give us the wisdom to decide what is best for the city. We ask all this in your name. Amen. Thank you, Ms. Bellflower Court. Do you want to stay so that you can do the introduction now? Yeah, okay, let's do that. And before you start your introduction, I'd like to appreciate the organizers of Miss Bellflower pageant. Councilmember Coops and I were there last Saturday, and we really enjoyed it. It was fun to see you perform, all this talent that you showed to the city. It was wonderful. And I'm really glad that you all came here tonight, 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's good. Everyone is accounted for. I want to make sure, because as I announced last Saturday evening, this is your first official visit, right? Yeah. Okay, very good. And I want to call out Eden, Doreen, Jana, Pete. Who else here from Miss Bellflower? Oh, Sandra, of course, Sandra. La Presidente. Did I say it right? Yes. Okay, so thank you so much. It was wonderful last Saturday. Okay, and I hope that you had a good time. Did you have a good time? Good. All right. So anyway, for the benefit of our audience out there, we have the Miss Bellflower Court and Miss Queen Bellflower and Queen Teen Bellflower. All right, and their courts. All right.
Hello everyone, my name is Isabella Vitucci and I am your new Miss Teen Bellflower Princess of 2018.
Thank you. Is it on? Oh.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Grissom. I am your Miss Teen Bellflower Princess of 2018.
Hello, my name is Emily Abad, and I'm your new Miss Teen Bellflower Princess of 2018.
Hello everyone, my name is Haley Viegas. I am your 2018 Miss Teen Bellflower Queen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, council members. I'm Natalie Soto, your Miss Bellflower Princess.
Good evening, my name is Rukdamini Bajaj and I am your new Miss Bellflower Princess of 2018.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie Sennett. I'm your new Miss Bellflower Princess 2018.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ashley Lozano, and I'm honored to call myself your new Miss Bellflower of 2018.
All right, thank you so much. And again, welcome to the seat of Bellflower. And I just don't know how the judges did their job last Saturday. It must have been tough. So can we take photos with them? Okay.
Tell me I was, I don't have any remember.
I got like a picture. I didn't get to talk to those girls in high school, now they want to take a picture of me.
No, we do the council comment. I think they were standing already. All right, moving along, City Council announcements. The National Small Business Week recognizes the critical contributions of America's entrepreneurs and small business owners, and it takes place beginning April 29th through May 5th. Bellflower's Economic Development Department has teamed up with several organizations to host a variety of events throughout the week for small business owners and operators in the city of Bellflower. Get to know the local business community at the Bellflower Business Mixer on Monday, April 30th from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. at City Halls right here, located 16600 Civic Center Drive. Please RSVP to Jane Ramirez at 562-804-1424 extension 2010 or email economic_dev@bellflower.org. Councilmember Snobleger.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City of Bellflower has recently joined forces with the City of Paramount and the City of Norwalk to raise funds and awareness for the American Cancer Society. The relay event will take place on Saturday, June 23rd at 9 a.m. and continue until Sunday, June 24th at 9 a.m. at Bellflower's Ron Yeri Stadium, located at 15301 McNabb Avenue in Bellflower. This year's theme is We'll Rise Above Cancer. This is a carnival-inspired theme that will feature many fun events prior to the 24-hour relay. This month, come out for lunch to the Celebrate Survivors on Saturday, April 14th at the Bellflower Moose Lodge from noon to 2 p.m. at 13202 Alondra Boulevard. To RSVP, reach out to Mandy Trujillo at Trujillo, TREJOM, at ymail.com. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ron. Councilmember Juan Garza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. The City of Bellflower and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department have teamed up with Kaiser Permanente to host a national Take Back Initiative event on Saturday, April 28th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Kaiser Permanente Bellflower Medical Office located at 9400 East Rosecrans Avenue here in Bellflower. Proper disposal of expired, unused, and unwanted medication such as personal prescriptions, vitamins, over-the-counter drugs, dietary, and herbal supplements helps protect the environment. Prescription drugs that are collected will be disposed of by the safest means available for this waste stream. There is also a permanent drug take-back bin at the entrance of the Lakewood Sheriff Station located at 5130 Clark Avenue in Lakewood. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. Next, Councilmember Dan Coops.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As a reminder, the city's next general municipal election will be held on Tuesday, November 6, 2018, for City Council Districts 1, 3, and 5. This election will be consolidated with the general election conducted by the Los Angeles County Registrar of Voters. Our goal is to make this transition as smooth as possible. Therefore, if you have any questions about this election, about voter registration, or on which council district you reside, please contact the city clerk's office, and you can find them at 562-804-1424, extension 2271, or their email is ccclerk@bellflower.org. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. Next item is we have a proclamation tonight. This is April. This is the, we're declaring April as DMV Donate a Life California Month. So tonight we have Mr. Johnny Limucci from Legacy One to receive the proclamation. So I'd like to invite my fellow council members at the riser to give out the proclamation to Mr. Limucci. It's a long proclamation, but I'd like to just highlight the salient points of this proclamation. More than 114,000 individuals nationwide and more than 21,000 in California are currently in the National Organ Transplant waiting list. And on average, 20 people die each day while waiting due to shortage of donated organs. More than 600,000 units of blood per year are needed to meet the need in California. At any given time, 6,000 patients are in need of volunteer marrow donors. A single individual's donation of the heart, lungs, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestine can save up to 8 lives. Donation of tissue can save and heal the lives of more than 75 others. And a single blood donation can help 3 people in need. So the statistics, data are really amazing. Over 14 million Californians have signed up with the state-authorized Donate Life California Donor Registry to ensure their wishes to be organ, eye, or tissue donors are honored. So on behalf of Mayor Dutton, I'd like to present you this proclamation proclaiming the month of April in Bellflower as DMV Donate Life California Month. And again, tonight we have Mr. Johnny Limucci from Legacy One to receive this proclamation.
Thank you very much, Councilman.
Want to say something?
Yes, I want to thank the City Council, Mayor Dutton, and the city for making this very possible. To me, this is a very, very touching thing. I'm a soccer referee. I referee high school, collegiate soccer at a high level. I didn't even know I had a problem. I went to the doctor for a physical and found out that I was going to need a heart transplant. I lived 203 days without a heart because you just can't go to a cupboard and get an organ. I had a total artificial heart. I got the gift of life on August 22nd, 2016, a year and 7 months ago. A young gentleman, 22 years old, gave me the gift of life. I've got a passion for this now because when I started looking up the numbers of how many people really need organ transplants, it was remarkable, remarkable. People every day get put on the list and people get taken off the list for a bad reason. Again, I would like to thank you guys very, very much. You can go to Donate Life California and register if anybody's interested. There's a great event coming up August 28th at Cal State Fullerton. It's a 5K walk run. It's a great, great time. A lot of times donors will meet the recipients of their organs, the families. It's a very, very touching thing. If anybody would like information, I have some information about it. And again, I would like to thank the City of Bellflower and the City Council very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're coming for us, okay. Thank you so much.
And again, I really appreciate it.
Thank you again. Okay, Mr. Stewart, public comments?
This is the time set aside for the public to address the city council, the agency, and authority on matters not listed on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the city council should come to the podium, be recognized by the mayor, and state your name for the record. If you wish to address the city council on an agenda item, you may do so by approaching the podium as we review that particular item. You'll be given a reasonable amount of time to address the city council or its successor agency and finance authority.
Anyone who would like to speak on a non-agenda item? Wow. everyone. Oops. Don't be shy.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Gemma Espinosa. I'm an elementary special education teacher and a financial educator. I have been a resident of Bellflower City for 16 years. As you may know, April is a financial literacy month which was recognized in 2004 by the Senate Resolution 316 to raise public awareness about the importance of financial education and the serious consequences that may be associated with the lack of understanding about personal finances. Today, there are 76 million baby boomers, people born between 1946 and 1964. Every day, 10,000 baby boomers turn 65. Many of them struggle to survive because they did not prepare for retirement. The good old days pensions are disappearing across North America, and government programs such as Social Security are under threat. The cost of housing, living expenses, and health care are becoming obstacles for everyone. It is ironic that we live in one of the wealthiest countries in the world, but we always have money problems. Nobody teaches us how to manage our money in school. Financial issues are not often discussed, and financial products are not always explained. Most people have trouble reading financial statements. The reason why I'm here today is to share with you our national campaign for financial literacy to have 1 million financial educated families by 2020. Our organization has helped some of the underserved communities across North America. We provide free financial classes by experienced and certified instructors. I have benefited personally from this campaign, and I am passionate advocate of this cause. Most importantly, I would like to invite the City of Bellflower to join our campaign and to help us in our cause by allowing us to bring these classes to Bellflower residents in libraries, community centers, and schools. In closing, I would like to read a couple of excerpts from April letter from the Financial Literacy Month from Governor Jerry Brown last year. Let us all take time to increase our knowledge of our finances and encourage our friends and families to do the same. I encourage Californians to take advantage of the free resources, including seminars, workshops, classroom presentations, online services, and educational materials, and to learn how to better manage our money. Investments, credit, debt, and avoid financial scams and fraud. By empowering Californians with the knowledge and tools they need to help them make critical decisions, including financing higher education, buying a home, starting a business, and saving for retirement. We are investing in a brighter and more successful future. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you for coming. And you may contact our city manager, and also the manager of the library is here also. Josh is here.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right, thank you for coming.
Thank you. Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. My name is Josh Murray, and I'm here on behalf of the Clifton and Brackenseek Library. I'd like to inform everybody of our upcoming children's program this Thursday, Danza Azteca Xochipilli. Thursday, April 12th, 2018, from 4 to 4:45, we're celebrating National Library Week with a special performance by Danza Azteca Xochipilli. Enjoy learning about the Aztec people of ancient Mexico through their stories, costumes, and dances. I'd also like to inform you that today we received word that we will be closed on Thursday, April 19th, due to some electricity equipment upgrades. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks for the notice. Anyone else?
Council members, staff, ladies and gentlemen, I have a couple items here that I would like to bring up, and one's an old item, Ron, Union Bank.
I would like to right now request that we put the Union Bank parking lot on the next agenda. Please.
Thank you.
You tired of wrecking your truck there?
This time will you, wait.
Well, they canceled my insurance the last time.
Hey, will you stay for it when it gets
That-
called?
That one I will.
Okay, thank you. You went
Now-
home last time.
Now, the other thing over at Union Bank, I don't know if you've noticed it, but apparently none of the tenants have keys to the trash receptacle area. So that looks like one big pig pen, an atrocious looking mess. The trash, there's more trash on the outside than there is inside. Union Bank, that strip center. And I talked to the bank, the person in the bank today, and a couple others over there. And whoever owns it, their property management doesn't care. So it might be time to hit the property management with a cleanup bill or something to grab his attention. It's a disaster, especially when you go into a bank and the trash is, there's more trash in the parking lot. You couldn't even go out the back of the parking lot 2 days ago. You had to come back out the front or drive through it all. So, and possibly they may need an extra pickup on the trash bins, especially with another item moving in there, Jersey Mike's, which is a submarine shop, which is gonna create more traffic and trash. It's a shame because there really isn't enough parking in there for what's there. So now that we've cleaned that up a little bit, I'm gonna bring up a topic. Basically, I know some of you have been in the military and done your service, of which I have too. I've done more service. I've been in harm's way more than probably any of you in the time I was playing over there. I've learned to respect this country, the flag, and the people involved here, the citizens. But I'm so disturbed about the state of California and its hideous Jerry Brown and all these other clowns over wanting to play this DACA nonsense, which to me is nonsense, because we're all immigrants, let's face it. We're coming from someplace. Fortunately, a lot of us have been born here, but we're still an immigrant. It doesn't matter if you're Mexican, Chinese, German, whatever. We're all in the same thing. And when you come here, basically, you're scrutinized. You fill out all paperwork. You're filling out forms. You may be on a waiting list for 2 years, 10 years before you can get citizenship. I find this appalling for these politicians that don't do anything anyhow, and it doesn't matter if you're talking Democrat or Republican. They're all just as bad. They gotta fight with each other over nonsense. To give 1 million people, Mexican, San Salvadorian, Chinese, whatever, instant citizenship is wrong to put them ahead of people that are waiting 2 and 10 years for that cherished item. I'm ashamed of it. I'm ashamed of these politicians in Sacramento and in Washington, D.C. for the games they're playing with this. You've got terrorist problems, you need security. And I would like to see the city of Bellflower take a step forward, along with the Lakewood Sheriff's Department, on joining in with Los Alamitos, Orange County, the sheriff of Orange County, as well as Orange County, and San Diego. It's about time somebody stood up. And this League of California Cities in Bellflower, that Bellflower belongs to, they need to stand up to Sacramento, because everything that's going on up there is wrong. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what's happening on why I'm doing this, but Juan, you were in the military, I know you were. Same as me. Where do you stand on this? It's only right. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have a question. When's the outgoing mayor's ceremony? Have you know?
Next city council meeting,
Okay, the 23rd.
at 5:30.
Okay. That's all.
Don't miss that. Otherwise, Ron's going to be very disappointed.
Well, there's a lot of things that got done this year, don't you think? We got-
Peter, we're gonna have chocolate cake with vanilla frosting.
Good.
Oh, it's at 5, starting at 5,
Okay. Fine.
okay? 5 p.m.
I have a question. I don't know if you have to answer. Can you actually scan and print at the library, or they charge you for doing that?
Your first 10 pages of prints are free. After that is 15 cents and scanning is unlimited.
Huh?
There is unlimited scanning.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. That's what I need. That's it.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, now we're gonna move, okay, we're gonna move along now. Next item is 11A, Mr. Stewart.
This is consideration of public action to conduct a public hearing to adopt joint resolution numbers 18-15 and SA-18-03, a joint resolution authorizing the city manager to execute purchase and sale agreement, file number 797 between the city and successor agency for the disposition of real property located at 8827, 8829 Artesia Boulevard and 8800 Palm Street. The recommendation to the city council and successor agency tonight is to open the public hearing, take documentary and testimonial evidence, and after considering the evidence, adopt joint resolutions number 18-15 and SA-18-03, authorizing the city manager to execute purchase and sale agreement, file number 797. Mr. Del Longo, Economic Development Director, is here to do the staff report and answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Del Longo, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the City Council. The item before you today, as you just heard from City Manager Mr. Stewart, is the consideration of the purchase of successor agency-owned property at 8827 through 29 Artesia Boulevard and 8800 Palm Street. The subject site is located in the northwest quadrant of Lakewood Boulevard, Artesia Boulevard intersection, just west of the Southern California Edison right-of-way, and it's approximately 3.4 acres in size. The property is currently vacant. The redevelopment agency acquired the property in 2005 as the start of a site assemblage for the West Artesia specific plan. And after redevelopment was dissolved in 2012 and the Department of Finance's approval of our long-range property management plan in 2014, the city and successor agency have marketed the property for development and entered even into 2 exclusive negotiation agreements for the development of that site. Based on the failed attempts to develop the site and develop the property, staff has asked their consultant, James Williams, to analyze the properties, determine their updated value, taking into account the various development impediments of the site. And these include such things as a lack of visibility from the street frontage is very limited, there's limited access, it's irregular in shape, and the adjacent uses are not conducive to commercial development, and the zoning is restrictive there because it's in the West Artesia specific plan. Mr. Williams' analysis included 2 development scenarios: a commercial development consistent with the zoning and a hypothetical market rate residential single-family development. At the value listed on the long-range property management plan, which is $4.2 million, with today's development costs and the impediments of the site previously mentioned, a commercial development is not financially feasible. This confirms the failed exclusive negotiation agreements and the difficulty the developers had in developing the site. Mr. Williams also did an analysis for a hypothetical 12-unit market rate single-family residential development which also took into account the impediments of the site as well as the typical return a developer would seek for this type of development, which is around 12%. Based on this analysis, he was able to come up with a value of $600,000 for the property. And therefore, that would generate the 12% typical return for a developer that was trying to develop something of that nature. Therefore, staff is recommending the city purchase the property from the successor agency at the revised value of $600,000. Should the city council adopt the attached joint resolution approving the purchase of the subject parcel, this action will then need approval by the Oversight Board and will not only achieve the goal of the successor agency and of the Redevelopment Dissolution Act to dispose of the former agency's properties and distribute the proceeds to the taxing entities, but it'll also give the city a little more control and flexibility of the future development of the site. Staff is recommending the city council open the public hearing, take testimonial and documentary evidence, and after considering the evidence, adopt resolution number 1815 and SA 1803, or alternatively discuss and take other action related to this item. That concludes my report and available for questions.
One addendum to that, because 11A and 11B are mirror items on the same item, and the purchase and sale agreements is one is buying the property, the other is selling it, and we would recommend you take both items together. So I'd open the public hearing for both items, A and B simultaneously, take the documentary and testimonial evidence on that, close the public hearing, and then if there's further action to be taken, go ahead and adopt both the resolutions and both purchase and sale agreements.
Okay. Yeah, for the benefit of the audience, this is a property that was purchased by the redevelopment agency way back in 2005, right, Mr. De Longa?
Correct.
And the city staff has been trying to market this property to no success. So what they're proposing now is for the city to buy this piece of property from the redevelopment agency so that we can market it better and hopefully we can develop it with
At a rate that accurately reflects the real world value of the property.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, any question for Mr. De Longa?
Move to open the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Coop, second by Councilmember Garza to open the public hearing. That will be the order. Anyone who'd like to speak on these items? Two items, you're opening for both items,
Yes, for
right?
A and B,
A and B.
11A, 11B.
I have a question. After the 600,000, that means the general fund would be down to what, 2.5 million? As far as the general fund after the sale, because I think it's 3.1 before, right? Do we have also anybody interested in the property?
We will begin marketing the property once we finalize the acquisition. We have already been marketing the property, but we'll continue to market it once we complete the acquisition.
Anybody interested or no?
It depends on a lot of factors. We have some interest in it.
Okay. Good. And second of all, is there a possibility of turning that area on Artesia into a park, or that would be a waste of that property? Turning that 3.4 acres into a park on Artesia, or no? That would be not a good idea.
Probably the latter.
Not a good idea. Oh, I don't know. I don't see too many parks on Artesia.
Well,
Yeah.
We're working on that Coke Street
yeah.
park, the Sunny
Yep,
Park.
mhm.
Oh. How's that going along? Is that where the?
Oh, that's Sunny.
Oh, that's gonna be the end. You stay on the last item of the item, and I'll be asking that question.
Okay. Is that the one where that, if I remember?
Underneath the DWP power line.
Yeah, I know. There was like a plant shop or something, or plants or something? Or no?
No, that's between the two nurseries, the north
Okay,
and the
that's the
south.
one between the nurseries. Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
it's vacant right now.
Mr. Resi, some afternoon I'll take you out there and I'll show you exactly why it wouldn't be a great idea to put a park there. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Just email me, come by. I think everybody knows where my house is. Probably, thanks.
All right, thank you, Peter. Anyone else? Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Move to close the public hearing, A and
Second.
B.
Motion by Councilmember Coop, second by Councilmember Garza to close the public hearing on items 11A and 11B. And without objection, that will be the order. All right, gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Well, let's give it a try. you know.
All right. You're on.
Joint resolution authorizing the city manager to execute purchase and sale agreement, file number 797, between the city and successor agency for for the deposition of real property located at 8827 through 8829 Artesia Boulevard and 8800 Palm Street, City of Bellflower. And also, and concluding with 11B, a consideration joint resolution numbers 18-16 and SA-18-04, a joint resolution authorizing the city manager to execute purchase and sale agreement, file number 798, between the city and the successor agency for the deposition of real property located at 9443 Artesia Boulevard.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Coop, seconded by Councilmember Garza, for the City Council to adopt resolutions 18-15, SA 18-03, 18-16, and SA 18-04. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Garza.
Aye.
Councilmember Coops.
Aye.
Councilmember Schnableger.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Santinas.
Aye. There are no ordinances or resolutions for consideration. Next item, item 13A. Mr. Stewart.
This is consideration of possible action to adopt urgency ordinance number 1357, an urgency ordinance prohibiting issuance of permits for construction, expansion, or placement of recycling facilities and collection centers within the city's jurisdiction for a period of 45 days to consider amending the Bellflower Municipal Code.
Okay. Mrs. Concepcion, it's your turn.
Actually, this is the first time we have a newbie. We have Ms. Ileana Munoz,
Oh,
who's one
Ms.
of our planning
Munoz.
departments, is going to give the staff report tonight.
Okay, welcome, Ms. Munoz. This is your first time? Yes, sir. Don't get nervous.
Yeah.
Good evening, council members. Before you is a presentation on the proposed urgency moratorium, which will prohibit issuance of permits for construction, expansion, and placement of recycling facilities and collection centers. For clarification, the terms recycling facilities and recycling centers are used interchangeably and are synonymous. So in January, planning staff received an inquiry from a real estate broker who had a client operating a collection center in an unincorporated area in Los Angeles County, and who wanted to relocate to the city of Bellflower. More recently, we had a sole proprietor looking to establish a collection center in the city of Bellflower. These two individuals were provided with a staff report and were informed of tonight's meeting. Some of the concerns is that although the city realizes the importance of recycling in the community, there are concerns associated with these types of uses, such as theft of metals and destruction of private and public property to extract these metals. So the Bellflower Municipal Code does not define collection centers or recycling facilities. However, for the purposes of the proposed urgency ordinance, definitions were included on page 2 of the staff report, which is shown above. The term does not include secondhand stores, and per our business license database, there are currently no collection centers operating in the city. We have the definition for recycling center on the screen. This term does not include junkyard as defined in the Bellflower Municipal Code, nor does it include unattended donation boxes as defined in the Bellflower Municipal Code. Again, per our business license database, there is only one location in the city operating as a recycling center, which is located on Woodruff Avenue. So the proposed moratorium would allow staff to evaluate existing land use policies. Initially, the moratorium would be in effect for 45 days. However, the city council could extend the moratorium for up to 10 months and 15 days. The moratorium could thereafter be extended one more time for up to 12 months for a total of 2 years. Adoption of this urgency ordinance requires 4/5 vote and required findings being made. Those required findings are found in page 4 and 5 of the staff report. The recommendation today is to adopt urgency ordinance number 1357 by at least 4/5 vote, or alternatively, discuss and take other actions related to this item. This concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Ms. Munoz. You did well. Mr. City Attorney, since Mayor Dundon is not present tonight, so we need to have affirmative votes from all council members present, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So what do you expect to give us after 45 days or the extension later on? What do we expect to see?
We would like to study ways to better serve the community, perhaps development standards via fixing our Bellflower Municipal Code.
Prior to extending the moratorium required by the government code section, we are to come back to the city council to provide a report, which would then indicate what we've done thus far in addressing this, which would include surveys, research, drafting any operational standards that could address any other concerns.
Are you going to look into the ancillary issues related to the recycling center, the stealing of recycling bottles and cans that go to the recycling center, things like that? Or is that separate from this agenda item?
Those are the grounds as to why we are bringing the moratorium.
So we are going to look at a full-fledged multi-ordinance that's going to look at different sections of the code to try to address this, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And that will include, let's say, stolen metal pieces like copper pipes, things like that?
Correct.
Will it be part of the study?
Correct.
Okay. All right, good. Any question for Ms. Munoz? Yes, Councilmember Snableger.
We have a giant recycling place already that causes havoc with that end of the town. How about an ordinance that says we don't need any more recycling centers?
I don't think we can necessarily prohibit that use, but what we can do is make the use stringent enough where it'd be substantially
Well, that's the way I would like
restricted.
to go,
Yeah.
me personally. We do our fair share with recycling.
Well, I think everybody, I mean, that's why I just went ahead and said, I think everybody here that's listening to this understands the problems associated with the current recycling use, and anything we do is going to make sure we don't create another mess like that one, so.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coops.
to go forward with what Mr. Schnableger said, the current recycling center obviously has some issues. Are they grandfathered in such a way that we cannot amend the code to put them in some sort of a compliance?
Correct. They are existing in an existing use now. You could, and we've actually looked at, quite frankly, looking at making them a non-conforming use, and if they ever shut down for a period of time, they couldn't reopen, but that's a discussion for another day. What we're looking at now is to make sure we, again, without putting too fine a point on it, I think we're going to examine everything. That's why I want to bring that point up tonight. But I think what we're looking at is a situation where we don't repeat that error, because we believe that's the genesis of a lot of the problems that we have in the community.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Garza?
Just right quick, just a comment. So what I'm hearing is that you're going to come back to us with like comprehensive Bellflower Municipal Code regulations, not just licensing and permitting procedures, correct? It's going to be all regulations?
Correct. The goal is to have some operational standards as, one of the zoning regulations to better control the use. Because right now, we don't have any specific operational standards associated with this type of use.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. I'd like to invite the public, if there's anyone who would like to make a comment on this item. Okay. All right. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to adopt urgency ordinance number 1357.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Coop, second by Councilmember Garza to adopt urgency ordinance 1357. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Garza.
Aye.
Councilmember Coops.
Aye.
Councilmember Schnableger.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Santinez.
Aye. The next item, we're doing well tonight.
I forgot,
Oh.
I was gonna say, well, I don't know, because you need all of us.
Well, that's why I preface
I was
right
gonna see if I
away.
could negotiate a little something, you know?
Well, that's why I put the pressure on you right away as the city attorney
We gotta have 4-0.
to make sure I get 4-0. Okay. Mr. Stewart, item 14.
We have the consent calendar. It'd be appropriate for those who have conflicts to announce their conflicts, and then it'd be a motion for remainder of the consent agenda unless there's any questions on individual items.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Snaplegger.
well, wait a minute, I think I've resolved that problem. I don't think I have any. Yeah.
Recusal?
Your Kiwanis conflict, yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
So he doesn't have to recuse on item?
He doesn't need to recuse himself on that item. on the-
Okay.
the
But you
fireworks
have one item to be recused from, right?
Ron, do you have an
14,
item you're recused on
Was
the
L.
consent calendar? Are you okay on everything?
I think 14G.
I do have one question I'd like to ask.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, Ron, you have one recusal,
Yeah, I
right?
think you're 14G, Mr. Schnabelager. Do you have a conflict on that? The Garden House, Ventana on Artesia Boulevard.
14G.
Well, it's been crossed out and said it's not a conflict, so
The other one?
I will recuse myself from 14G.
All right, there you go.
All right, there you go. 14G. Any others? All right, we're good. So anything you want to pull from
There's a
from
question,
the item? From the agenda?
Yes, I would like to pull 14F.
14F. Separate discussion or separate vote?
For some discussion,
Discussion, okay.
real quick.
Mr. Croops?
I'm good.
Mr. Garza? I just want to pull item 14L for discussion, 14M for question. Okay, Councilmember Snavleger, go ahead, please. 14F.
I guess Mr. Hockman I'd like to know where this came from. Why, whose idea it was to lease out part of the
Come on, Jim.
buildings for a restaurant? Why are we doing that? Are we broke?
None
Are
of the
they
above.
hungry there? They don't want to walk down the street and eat? I don't understand it.
Even before my time here, it was talked about that that area in front of the substation might be a great area for a restaurant, fast service restaurant type
Sir,
use.
it's the part where the city store used to be at the front of the sheriff's station that's now pretty much vacant.
And so we've now recently met somebody who is interested in potentially using that area for a potential restaurant use. And we wanted to get feedback from the council and see if there was support for this at the council level before we proceeded and had the potential operator proceed with spending any money on that
So where would
project.
it be, downstairs?
It would be downstairs, right in the front, near to the left of the entrance of the
When you
of
go in the front
substation.
door?
Correct, yes. And there's potentially going to be some sidewalks, outdoor seating for that, as well as some seating indoors for that.
And you don't think that's going to be a problem coming in and out with other people trying to do business at the substation?
There
We'll
would
have
be
a
a separate entrance for it. What it is, it's that area you probably don't remember. We sat in there one time for a meeting when we interviewed
For the-
sergeants,
yeah.
captains. So it's a vacant use now. There's a small office space in there, an open area. What we're looking is trying to transform that use. And for a long time, we thought it might be a coffee use or something like that. Well, we've got a use now where a young woman wants to invest a fair amount of money in redesigning this and doing sort of a niche restaurant concept there. We like the idea. We think it has legs. But there are three things at play here. One, to move forward at this, she's got to spend a fair amount of money on design. Two, we're going to have to do some improvements in this site to make sure there's a sewer lateral line that runs to the sewer line there. And three, we need to figure out what our long-term tenancy or purchasing power in that building is. The landlord there, I think, does maintain an interest, and we've been in contact with her and having us there, but she's been hospitalized and in ill health for the last several months, and quite frankly, sort of checked out, not even cashed the rent check. So we're trying to re-engage with her to establish our long-term lease, purchase, or whatever we do with that building. Once that's done, then we can legitimately talk about doing some kind of an investment to do a sewer lateral line there. And third, we could talk to the woman that wants to start this restaurant to spend her own money, up to several $1,000s to do design work on that building. But before we did any of this, before we wasted any time in doing this stuff, we wanted to get some kind of a consensus from the council whether or not they were interested in doing that kind of a concept at that location downtown.
Mr. Hockman, if our funding comes through on some of the things we're doing, and we want to increase our sheriff's department personnel, will there still be enough room to house additional personnel?
Yeah, this will be on the city side, and there'll be room enough for whoever we want to pull in with respect to future sheriff units.
You're sure?
I'm positive, and in fact, the sewer line's supposed to go right through my office, so I'm very much in favor of this project.
There you go.
Okay, because I envision within a year and a half, adding substantially to our sheriff's personnel. And then I don't want to hear, well, we don't have enough room or something.
We'll be just fine in that category.
Okay. That's the answer to my question.
Okay, very good, thank you. Mr. Stewart, just on the item 14M, just for clarification, just for the benefit of the audience here, item 14M is a resolution opposing a proposed ballot measure being circulated right at this point. It's called the Tax Fairness, Transparency, and Accountability Act of 2018. So there's a group of business leaders led by the California Business Roundtable who's circulating this petition. So what I'd like to kind of educate our residents, because there's going to be a big push for this. In terms of item D, in the resolution, it says that the proposed ballot measure would allow businesses to escape from their existing obligations to pay full costs of services that they request and receive from local agencies and benefit from. So can you elaborate more on that?
Correct. I mean, what this is a coalition of mostly home builders in the Orange County area, some up north, from what I understand. And they're looking at making it a 2/3 requirement to enact any new tax, any kind of a new tax in any city. And further, it would rescind any tax that was approved after 1/1/2018, right, this year, 1/1/2018, if it was approved by the voters. And the whole point of this is to quell any local tax measure proposed by any city, because the 2/3 standard, as you know, is almost impossible to meet on this. As you know, this is a city that's not big on taxation. We don't like it much more than anybody else does. It's a city that also very recently rescinded a tax that it had levied on the residents, because it is not necessarily a pro-tax city. But this is a principled stand. We, in the event that there is a dire emergency where we do need to come back for a tax measure, we don't want our hands tied, or any other city in California for that matter, have their hands tied because of to increase the majority to a 66-point requirement for approval on that. So on this item, what we're looking for is a resolution or a letter of opposition to this measure going forward.
Okay. So I just want to clarify that we're not asking for any tax increase or new taxes. It's basically preserving the current process of putting any ballot measure to the voters to approve.
Correct. I mean, I think a point well taken, this city, I think the relationship this city has with its voters, it ensured was back when they did the 2% addition to the UUT back 5 years ago, the promise was we would take it to the UUT while we needed it, while we developed and enhanced our economic development profile, and we've done that. And the promise that we kept to the voter was, we've done that, thank you very much, we appreciate it, we're going to let this tax right off into the sunset. So certainly I think that we've proven ourselves as not wanting to enhance additional taxes unless absolutely necessary. Conversely, I don't think we necessarily want to have our hands tied in the event we need to, because I'd like to believe, and I certainly believe as long as this council's around and as long as I'm around, we would never go back to the voters for additional tax unless it was absolutely needed.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Any other comments on the consent calendar? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll move that we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Schnabdiger and seconded by Councilmember Garza to approve the consent calendar, and without objection, that will be the order. All right.
Let's go home.
Council reports. Councilmember Snapdragon, since you want to go home first, okay.
I have nothing.
Oh, my goodness. You really want to go home, okay. Councilmember Coops.
Well, you probably noticed that we have some new construction fences going up at the intersection of Artesia and Bellflower Boulevard, both sides of the street, so we're encouraged by some demolition that's going to occur there in the not-too-distant future. And also anticipating Steelcraft, who have been awarded their permits. We'll have that site coming under development real soon now. That's going to go on the corner of Oak Street and Bellflower Boulevard, where there'll be 10 containers housing different kinds of businesses, from craft brewing to ramen to ice cream, whatever you want. You can ride your bike over there and hang out there, and we look really forward to that kind of activity going on the boulevard. So as the summer proceeds, you're going to see some major construction going on the boulevard. I've read online some of the people are critical of the fact that some of the old buildings in Bellflower are going away, and I've kind of have the same feeling. You know, this is the town that I grew up in, and I know the boulevard from one end to the other. But I also accept the fact that many of these buildings have worn themselves out. They're 50, 60, 70 years old. They've outlived their usefulness. There's opportunities for new kinds of businesses with new kinds of entry into the city, and so I'm encouraged by that. I hate change, but change is good. But as we go forward on this, I think everybody will see that Bellflower Boulevard, and we also have coming up the old Koopman's Furniture Store, which is now being transitioned into a motorcycle shop that was once located on Alondra Boulevard, is now moving over there. Also going to have a boat component over there. So if you remember back in the days when we had a boat dealer on Artesia Boulevard called Marine Associates, he's going to be selling boats not unlike what fishing boats, ski boats, things like that are going to be housed in.
The JCPenney reuse.
And the JCPenney building is an escrow. That's supposed to go forward with a microbrewery and some restaurants in there, and a corporate headquarters for another entity in Bellflower moving from Long Beach. So we're just really encouraged by those things that are going forward. Nothing to report yet. Everyone's always asking me on what used to be the Ray Flatibow and the suburban Pontiac lot, the big one between Ramona and Cedar. We've leveled that lot because it was a public nuisance, but there has been inquiry as to what can be done to make that one great big project. We've also, people are kicking tires on what to be doing with the Greek market. We have a lot of irons in the fire on that. As Mr. Garza is our representative on the Metro and on the Eco Rapid Board, their goal is to have a train on the track coming through Bellflower by the time the Olympics start in 2024.
Yes, sir.
And so that's something we can see in the not too distant future. I'll be 106 years old when that occurs, but that's okay.
No, you're only 54.
So just stay with us, stay tuned. And if you have any questions, please come in and ask me at my store, come in here. But we've got some neat things coming on the boulevard. What's interesting about Bellflower and about being on the council, as I digress here, and I've probably taken Ron's time because he wants to go home. Bellflower has always been judged by what happens on the boulevard. For years, the city council that we've had previously have done a good job of trying to run this city. We've always had good parks. We've always had good public works. We've always had a great city hall. We've always had good things going in this town. But as the boulevard failed, everybody looked at us and said, you know, that whole town's just not doing what it should be. Everybody else has got all this activity, and you guys got nothing. Well, finally, we're turning the corner on Bellflower Boulevard. And when we have a light rail going through Bellflower Boulevard in 2022 or 24, and it's going to put 10,000 people a day, more, maybe I'm conservative, that'll be getting on and off a train on Bellflower Boulevard. And what's interesting, that was where Bellflower began. That was the train station. That was the nexus for Bellflower. And here, 100 years later, it's coming back into the same area. So just kind of fun to be a part of Bellflower. Other cities envy what we have because we've got the railroad going through here. Lakewood has no chance to do this. Downey's got a little tip of it. Sarita's got a little tip of it. Artesia's involved. Paramont's involved. But the old school cities are being revitalized by this system of rails that's going to come back to life here in the not too distant future. I got enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coops.
All right. Juan, you can piggyback on because you are on the inside track on that.
You did great.
All right.
I won't touch that.
Literally.
Yeah, you're on the inside track. Yeah.
Councilmember Garza.
So just right quick, 2 items. They both happened on the 28th. So Planning Commissioner Sanchez and I were invited to speak before government students at Bellflower High. And that day we were there for like 6-7 periods, I believe. I think we spoke with like probably 600 students. It was exciting to share with them what it is to serve the public in governance and the importance of being active in our community and being aware of what's going on in the community. Lots of good questions. I think what I found interesting was we got comments from the teachers that probably for one of the very few times that they noticed that none of the students were on their phones, right? Everyone that was there was engaged and paying attention. And so I'm proud to have been a part of that with Mr. Sanchez. I know they were really excited about us talking about In-N-Out. Most of them didn't know that about In-N-Out coming to town. They were really excited about steel craft and just in general about the progress in our city. To Councilmember Coops' point about how times change and progress comes, and we got a lot of excitement about the progress they're noticing in our city. So I can tell you that our youth is really motivated with that. And then lastly, that evening I was invited by the Bellflower, I believe it's the Noon and the Family Lions clubs, I believe both of them, were hosting a speech contest here in our city at the theater. I was one of the 3 judges that was invited to judge 3 very impressive young ladies who, it was a good event because as a public servant, it just reminds you, kind of brings you down to earth about what's important at times. And the speech that they each tackled differently, and I'm paraphrasing here, was the role of integrity and respect in today's times. And they each handled it differently, and especially in our leaders and our politicians. And again, as a public leader in our city, it just really reminded me of a lot of how much good there is really in our community, in our world, when we open our eyes and we're just open to listening. So that was really impressive. And then the winner of this contest was actually a 9th grader. And I think we were all surprised at how eloquent and how impressive she was. So I was happy to have been part of those events on the 28th, and that completes my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Garza. I just want to segue to your report about the Lions. I was invited to be one of the judges also last Saturday from the Lions Club in Los Angeles. That's the MD4, multiple district level. So I think that's the kind of a regional contest already, and I was very impressed with these are students. And they have the same topic, I guess.
Really? Okay.
They have the same topic,
Yeah,
so
great.
that's interesting. Anyway, I attended a breakfast last Saturday along the boulevard, and quite interestingly, one of the participants asked a question about, or complained and question about, what is the city doing about parking? And I guess that was a great question to ask. What is the city doing about parking? And I have a ready answer. We're building a parking structure that can house up to more than 300 cars on the boulevard. So that question was satisfactorily answered. So I like those kind of questions. And I was also pleased with going home. I was pleased to drop by Richie's in terms of their development, the progress of their construction. I think it's going to be an awesome restaurant, especially with a patio in the back. That's going to be a great addition to the boulevard.
We're getting our health approval probably tomorrow.
Okay, so very soon.
Get our building permit hopefully by the end of the week. Then he gets in there for a couple weeks of training.
Why don't you come up, Liz? Why don't you come up? So people can see you on television. No. It's,
Hello, everyone.
There you go.
all right. Give us an update on Richie's.
Well, construction is almost finally coming to an end. We have a little bit of design work that we'll still do after we get our building permits because it's not impacted by it. And Leonard and his family are very excited about moving in. They love the way it's turning out. And like I said, we're having our health inspection tomorrow. You generally don't pass the first time for the restaurant inspection. So they want a reason to come back. That's just how it goes. So But, you know, we feel very confident we'll have a good inspection tomorrow. Furniture gets delivered on Wednesday. We have an ABC inspection on Thursday, perhaps our building final on Friday. And if that happens, we hand over the keys and they can move in.
Good.
No, that's still in a pending state.
I took a peek into the building, in this structure. I was very impressed inside.
Yeah?
You know, the red paint and then those,
That lattice work
yeah,
above the bar?
yeah, it was very impressive.
Oh, good.
And I'm sure that the owners will be very pleased.
Yeah, they're blown away.
Yeah.
I mean, if any of you went to the old restaurant.
Oh,
it's
yeah. Mhm.
Like,
It's almost like night and day. Okay.
Yeah.
It
That's
is
all I
night
can
and
say.
day.
yeah.
Not almost.
No,
No, that's exactly what he texted me.
I'm trying to
Yeah.
be diplomatic here.
Yeah. Those were his exact words when he sent a text to me recently. He said it's night and day from
Yeah.
the old
See, I
Ricky's.
was right.
You said almost, it is.
Especially the patio. I mean, that's going to be an
Yeah.
extension of the restaurant. So that's going to be great. So thank you for the update.
You're welcome.
Can I ever ask a question?
Oh, sure, Mr. I thought you want to go home.
Does Leonard finally understand that we were on his side the whole time?
He
Trying to help
does.
him?
He does. Yes, he does.
Finally. All right. Thank you, Ms. O'Neill.
You're welcome. Good night.
I just continue on the report here. I just want to invite everyone. There will be a community meeting on Tuesday, April 24th at 6 p.m. to discuss the Sims Park Sports Field Renovation Project. So this is a wonderful project. So we would like to get your input starting at 6 p.m. at Sims Park Auditorium. And also, Mr. Gorecki, I got a couple of phone calls, and Mr. Peter also asked the same question. Can you give us an update on the park underneath the DWP line on Coke Street?
Yeah, it's, actually, we just spoke with LADWP a couple weeks ago. We're on like our third revision plan set with them. It's hopefully, we're looking at probably about another week. And if they don't have any changes, and we don't think they will, we've kind of hashed out a lot of the stuff that was a big deal to them, not so big deal to us or anything, but just trying to make sure we're doing everything the way they want it. We got it worked out, and we should have a license quickly thereafter to move forward with it. And at that point, we put the work out to bid and start working from that point.
Okay.
I believe there was funding.
There's money from the last budget iteration.
Correct, yeah, we've been carrying money for a little while for Coke, so.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Thanks for the update. So we look forward to its start and completion. So with that, we'll adjourn this meeting to the next regular council meeting of the Bellflower City Council. Don't forget, it's 5 p.m. on Monday, April 23rd. We'll be starting at the Green Room to honor our outgoing mayor, Ron Snablegger. So this meeting stands adjourned.
Chocolate cake?
With vanilla frosting.